Hi, Lisa Workman here, creator of whymove.com. I wanted to give you a little chance to dive into my brain and kind of realize, what's this all about? What is Lisa trying to do? What is this whymove.com website all about? It's been a bit of a brainchild for me over the last 3 years, and I decided to put this together in full force back in May of 2013. And so I went full bore and said, let's do this, and I want to do this as a social experiment. I want to see what response we get for people and their physical activity and really why they move. I'm curious. So I've worked in the field as a qualified exercise professional for about 13 years. And so in those one-on-one consultations, I find that it's more about the question about why that helps people move forward and become more physically active. And it is, you can talk about the what, you can talk about the how, but it's that question of why that can be so powerful. And it doesn't come from me as the qualified exercise professional. It comes from you, that the story unfolds, or that the reason of why unfolds, and that turns into a story. So I want to share a bit of my story with you when I had my light bulb moment of the power of physical activity in my life. And it really has dictated the rest of my life, this situation, or what happened to me. So let's rewind. 1988, yes, 1988. I was a child of the 80s. I was traveling with my parents over the summer with my brother, and we always would stay at hotels. So we were heading out to Eastern Canada, and we would stay in hotels, and it was mandatory from my brother's perspective and mine that we had a pool and a water slide at every hotel. So during that summer trip, my mom noticed that I would always go underwater and try to do handstands in the water. Always. Mom, watch, I'm doing it again. I'm doing a handstand. Watch. I'm sure she got sick of me doing that all summer, but essentially she kind of had that light bulb moment herself, thinking, you know what? Let's offer Lisa a chance to do something else. Maybe she wants to try something like synchronized swimming. So as the summer rolled into the fall, she said to me, Lisa, you're in Girl Guides. You can choose to continue on with Girl Guides, but would you prefer to try something else? Maybe synchronized swimming. It was a no-brainer for me. I was like, absolutely, let's do this. I love the water. Let's get moving. So I joined synchronized swimming in 1988 and was just enthralled with the whole idea of holding my breath and being artistic and smiling away and everything that goes with synchronized swimming. So I trained for multiple years, actually, and into 1992, I was fortunate enough to start training at a provincial level and attending nationals. And so our training just skyrocketed. I was swimming 5 or 6 days per week, 2 hours in the pool. We do some dryland training. So we'll just say about 14 hours of training a week for this tween kid of me. And I loved every part of it. And unfortunately, one night in our training session, we were running laps at the University of Regina on cement floor. And unfortunately, we weren't running all in the same direction, and I collided with a fellow teammate and landed straight back on my low back. And in that moment, as a tween, I really think I knew that this was significant. So what did we do? Well, you know what? I was in pain for an extended period of time. I went to multiple specialists. I did physio 3 times a week. I had massage therapy. You do everything, your mom and dad do everything for you to get you better. But this back of mine was now a problem. So finally, the kind of sticking point, or the end point, was my parents and I had a visit with an orthopedic surgeon. And he came into the room and saw me laying there on the medical bed. And, unfortunately, his first words to me were, "Oh, you really are not a runner. You don't have a runner's body in your bone. This is not for you. And I need you to stop competing. I need you to stop doing synchronized swimming. That is irritating the back to the point where, you're in lots of pain, and that's just going to be if you don't stop." So what he told my parents is that I had to discontinue everything that I've been doing, so pretty much half my life of synchronized swimming, and do nothing for a whole year. And so, of course, I, as a tween, took that very hard, and the only thing I could do was walk. And what I did was walk. I walked and walked and walked and walked every night after dinner with my Sony cassette tape Walkman. And I'd have friends at school saying, "Hey, I saw you walking. Where were you going?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just walking. I'm walking. I need to move. I need to move. I need to move." And so by having that yanked away from me, my synchronized swimming career in my mind was over. Having that yanked away from me, I started to realize how much physical activity, and at that point it was exercise, was so important into my life. And at that time, it probably was more of a social thing because it was a huge social network of your team and your teammates and traveling and all that. And so that was yanked away. And then I think probably the whole feeling good of being physically active was also taken away because the volume of my physical activity just dropped off completely. And also with sharing these pictures above with you, you can see my early years. I was considered an overweight child. So synchronized swimming allowed me to become more physically active, learn a little bit more about food and what I'm putting in my body. And I was able to thin out in some respects, if that's the right word to use. And so when that was pulled away from me, it was very scary for me to think, oh my God, I'm going to go back to being that teased, overweight, big girl again. And that was frightening for me, absolutely frightening. So in those days as the tween, maybe a 13-year-old at that point, it was very clear that I needed to move and I needed to do something, and so I walked. Fast forward many years from then, I took that year off. I went into competitive water polo. I've done triathlons. I teach fitness classes. I'm okay. My back is not the best, but I deal with it on a probably monthly basis. I have maintenance. So it was, but in that moment that changed the rest of my life, and I truly believe the path of my life completely shifted in that moment of having that back injury and having to deal with all of that at such a young age. And that is why I am so passionate about being physically active and moving. And for right now, my reasons of why really are not the same as I was that 13-year-old, as you can imagine. But something still resides. So the social aspect of it, the feeling good aspect is there as well. But it is kind of that pivotal moment where I determined that I needed to move, and the reasons why I needed to move, because it was so important for me. It was yanked away, and then I had to deal with it. So, like I said, I'm doing good now. My back is in a better shape than it was then, and I just think that I'd rather you have the opportunity to think about why you move now in a situation where you don't lose your mobility or you don't have the ability to move, rather than having to go through what I did as a young girl. So anyways, my reasons for moving are vast and varied, and they happen all the time, and they are different from day to day. So you'll see me sharing on this website forum as well as to the reasons why I move. And I am so happy that you're here with me on this website. It is about you, but I want to give you some context of my story so I hopefully can hear your story. Again, whymove.com. Thank you so much for visiting, and I hope to hear from you soon.